Fellas, Cinema back. Another dish. How we doing out there? Good, great, grand, and wonderful. As you see on your dial screen, however, you are joining us today. I thank you, by the way. I thank you. The Suicide Squad. So, probably won't talk too much about the movie and more just my love for James Gunn, who fucking just knocked it out of the park again for me. Now, I know that this is a very, well, I mean, if you're in, it's easier now because the superhero culture seems huge. But as far as how I want to see films of this ilk, of the Suicide Squad ilk, it's knocked it out of the park. I laughed out loud. Everything was on point, and I wanted to. Well, before we get into the film. I've been so pro James Gunn, even when y'all tried to cancel him. Which I don't understand. I'm not going to get all political, but I just want to say it on air, just so you can hear me say it, because I think, I don't know, you may feel like a silly goose, if you were like, yeah, fuck James Gunn, no, fuck you. Let me get this straight. He sent a tweet. I say again, a tweet. 10 years ago, that was offensive. 3 years after he sent said tweet, he apologized. Kiss it. Go on, apologize. And then 7 years after the apology, 10 years have gone by now, then you tried to cancel him. A tweet. And this was back when a tweet didn't hold any weight. You know, you could make the argument that it didn't become serious business until Donald Trump, right? Or at least at that level. Maybe Obama. No? Trump? That's when it mattered? Who knows? I don't give a shit, that's for sure. But, y'all tried to cancel him. And, sweet poetic justice, now he works for the very company that fired him and the competitor. Wild stuff. I love James. Good for you, man. And, he did no wrong as the competitor. It was a good... Oh, I think one of the most impressive thing about this film is James knowing his limitations with the DC CGI. There's no two ways about it, and he sold it perfectly. There's a way, especially, and he knows how to do it. Coming from like a low budget horror, think of Slither. He knows how to do it, and it worked. Oh, it worked. What a fun fucking movie. Just laugh out loud, fucking bloody, like, I guess I haven't read much Suicide Squad, but they say it's nutty. I have to take your word for it. It's very violent, they say, and this was super violent and super awesome. And I knew that I was in for a fun movie. I didn't realize how fun it was going to be. Once I knew James's name was attached to it after, who did they boot? I think it was David Ayers. Is that who it was? Hamana. That's got to be in here somewhere. Yes. Yeah, David. Yeah, and I don't think he got the boot, but he went to do something else. David Ayer. And I just thought, I don't know what they did to his film. Like they say for David Ayer's cut, they want the extended cut. But what we saw from Suicide Squad was, I hate being negative on this show, but that was a mess. And I understand. I mean, you know what? Let me lessen the blow for anyone who may be listening that worked on that film. Let me lessen the blow. When there's that many problems in production, there's no way. Especially like when it's a big, it's not like it's an indie film that has a bunch of writer changes and director changes and fights with the producers and blah, 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 blah. Like that, it was doomed from the start. That happens to so many films. Like if you swap through a couple of directors or a couple of writers, for the most part, it's just like, what happened? If you have 5 writers on something, I didn't do the homework before this, but I think when you have like 3 to 5, I don't even know if I don't think, not in this particular case. James Gunn just wrote it by himself, but You see production studios do that all the time where you're like, there's the fucking goddamn 30 writers here. No wonder it fucking feels like 3 different movies. That's what Suicide Squad reminded me of. I was just like, what the hell is going on? And it just, I don't know. Then I heard those stories about Jared Leto on set, and he was being wild and wacky and whatever. I don't know. But anyway, so my expectations were pretty low. Hold on a second. Oh, thank God. My expectations were low. I shouldn't say low because I didn't know what to expect from a DC. Like, you know, a director and a writer matter. How the film's gonna play, you know, and yeah, I don't give a shit if it's DC, Marvel, Image, whatever. I think you kind of know what you're getting into with James Gunn. You know, but I not only, you know, talking about James Gunn, the whole cast, I think did it, like, played it straight, and that's what made it work for sure. And when you have everyone committed like that, it's, you know, like there were moments I hated Viola Davis, hated her because she was playing her part so well. But you have Idris Elba, arguably 5 to 10, top 10, my favorite actors. Can do no wrong, I say. Can do no wrong. In fact, if I think he not only could he play James Bond, because I know people were upset about that. You can't have a black James Bond. Are you snore? James Bond's not real. Just so you know, James Bond's not real. Doesn't matter who plays it. You can be it played by a little person. Is all I care. As long as he kicks ass and fucking drinks a martini. I don't even really care for Bond movies, so I don't know what anyway. But he could play, you know, Abe Lincoln. As far as I'm concerned, he could play George Washington. Just an old U.S. history, white. And as long as it's good, I don't give a fuck. I'll be like, oh man, did you see fucking Idris Elba as Thomas Jefferson? Crazy. As John Adams, fucking knocked it out of the park. But most people would not agree. And he's awesome in this. He can do no wrong. He's absurd. He's a DJ, a kickboxer, like real kickboxing at a pro level, an actor who's all over the place in the Marvel and DC universe. Do no wrong with Idris Elba. Margot Robbie is awesome, again, as Harley Quinn. I thought she was given a little bit more. Who knows? You know, David Ayer's cut may have had more moments for her. We'll never know because I don't think they're ever going to release it. But, it's Harley Quinn. And when we think of cinematic Harley Quinn, we now think of Margot Robbie. Do we not? You had Joel Kinnaman back as Colonel Rick Flag. Who, well, we're not going to ruin anything. Like I said, this is going to be a James Gunn geeking thing. You don't need me to fucking talk about. Well, I should mention a couple of scenes that I really fucking enjoyed. I mean, the humor was off the charts. I laughed out loud fucking so many times. Speaking of laugh out loud, John Cena is the Peacemaker, or I don't know if it's the Peacemaker or just Peacemaker, whatever. He's Peacemaker, and I don't think I've ever not laughed when I saw John in something. I don't think I've ever not laughed. Every day. Like Blockers, out loud. And this a couple of times, out loud. And, you know, you could be like, oh, we have to accept him now? We already had to accept The Rock? Yeah, man. Did the man make you laugh? Well, he's playing the same character. Fuck you. Did he make you laugh? Yeah, all right. Well, then he entertained you. Be appreciative. God damn it. Too much negativity, even though I was just shitting on the old Suicide Squad. But I'm a realist, though. I would like to see his extended cut, but I'll tell you one check mark against you right out the gate, and it's not even necessarily your fault. The Joker in my head, and I've read comics. I've read a decent amount of comics, but I'm by no means like a comic book guy. In my head, the Joker doesn't have a Lamborghini. It's so stupid. That's why you fucking don't like the movie? No, the movie, like I said, it was a mess. But I don't know that I'll ever get on board. Like, if in the extended cut there's more Lamborghini driving and hanging out, I'm probably not going to be happy about that. We saw Michael Rooker as Savant for a little bit. We saw as TDK Nathan Fillion. I like Nathan Fillion. He's a good lad. My ex, she loved The Castle. I like The Castle. I could listen to The Castle every now and then. I know I always shit on network TV shows, but Castle is all right. She's a good egg too. Jai Courtney is Captain Boomerang for a little bit. Flula Borg is Javelin. Mei Ling as Mongol. I talked about Mei Ling on my show before. Pete Davidson as Blackguard. I still trying to figure out the whole Pete Davidson thing. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure that out. I mean, he's a likable guy. Is he an entertaining one? I don't know. Maybe he is. Maybe he is. I haven't seen King of Staten Island yet, but I saw the stand-up, and I was like, it's kind of like Joe Rogan. I like Joe Rogan, the podcaster, for the most part. I don't really listen to it, but some of the clips that I've seen of Joe Rogan, the podcaster, I don't mind that Joe Rogan, but I've seen Joe Rogan stand-up guy live, and I was just kind of like, yeah, I don't, maybe not for me. Well, who's for you? I don't maybe like a Doug Stanhope, a Mark Norman, Sam Morril, a couple of them. Anyway, yeah, Pete Davidson. Sean Gunn was in this a couple of times. Stephen, well, I can't emphasize just how much I hated Viola Davis in this, because she was doing so well, as she tends to do so well. One of my favorite things, though, still got to be James Gunn working with his limitations. King Shark, who they're possibly going to dub the new Baby Yoda. I don't see how you're going to be able to do that, but Sly. Sylvester Stallone does the voice work for King Shark, which is pretty hilarious. Laughed out loud quite a few times at King Shark. It is a good character. I will agree. I will concur. But everybody, Baby Yoda's, it's got the kids. You got the adults and the kids that love Baby Yoda. I only think the adults are really going to be able to get on board with King Shark. I don't know if you could I would take my 8 or 9-year-old, because you're going to eventually see violence in movies and whatever. And not only that, do you like comic books? Yeah, I do. All right, well, then we're going to see this movie. Give a fuck if mom's upset. It's fucking cartoon violence. We'll be all right. I grew up with the most violent of video games and the most violent of movies, and I have committed no murdering crime spree. So I don't, in all of it, more than you actually, listeners. I have seen like some of that shit. I remember like in the early 2000s that I was seeing out of Japan, like some of that. What is it? Tartan Extreme stuff. Whew. Still some of the roughest shit that I've seen to this day, and it just mentally fucked up too. Like they go the extra mile. Like when they don't want to break you. No, they want to shatter you. Whatever the content of the movie, because there's so many Asia Extremes was the banner that it was under, but there was quite a few movies, and holy shit. Anywho, I don't know that I would show those to my kids, but we can go see Suicide Squad. It'll be all right. There's a fucking goddamn starfish in it, for crying the fuck out loud. A kaiju fucking starfish. And I was thinking about that too. Only James Gunn could make that fun. Well, maybe not only James Gunn. I don't want to be too mean, but like it totally you wouldn't think a movie for me where the villain, as it were a kaiju starfish. I keep saying kaiju because of the scale, you see, because of the scale of the starfish. But I go, okay, James Gunn could make it work, and he did. And he somehow did it without the shit DC. I apologize, all you visual effects artists on the DC movies, but you broke my heart with Doomsday. You just there's so many so many things that just look rushed and I don't put it on you either. Either you don't have the programs and the technology that Marvel's working with, or you don't have the time. One of the two, or both, because I know the studios always got to run neck and neck with each other. I get it, I got it, but whoa, on so many different films where I've just been like, what, how? But I'm a realist. I know you gotta. They say, hey, you need to do fucking 72 hours of work in 20, so we'll see you in a bit, right? I get it. I got it. Man, I don't know what my favorite thing about this is the violence and how it's depicted, or just the laugh out loud humor. I don't know. Just a goddamn fun movie. This is a summer blockbuster. Wish I would have saw it in the theater, but unfortunately I'd be working. And I don't have a whole... I guess I could have went to the theater. It's fucking 10 minutes from me. Stop lying. Stop lying to people. Stop lying. I could have, but... Yeah, I got off work, and, I was like, I pay for motherfucking HBO Max. I pay for it. So I should just watch it. Technically, I pay more a month than it would have been for a ticket. It's not fair. I didn't feel right about doing it, if I'm being honest with you. I don't even feel right. I'm almost kind of embarrassed to tell you that I streamed it right now. And if for some odd reason James Gunn has made it through this far in the pipe, there's no way. This has been drivel. But if he's made it this far, I apologize. I didn't feel right about doing it, but I succumbed to convenience in that moment. I worked 9-10 hours. I just was like, just burn something, learn something, sit down, watch the film. Right? No? What scenes that I really like? There is a scene where Harley Quinn starts just mowing down people with a machine gun, but it turns all trippy, hallucinogenic with flowers as opposed to blood and guts and explosions and stuff, and it's very flower power. It works in James Gunn's world. I could see if there's a hater or two in the crowd, I don't see how you could hate this movie. It's just fun. It's not meant to be. If you took it serious, dude, they have a fucking shark in it that is learning to talk on the job. A shark, a giant walking shark is in this. If you are like, wouldn't happen, whatever. If you're like, oh, I just thought it was so corny and shit. There's with the flowers coming out of the machine gun. There's a giant shark in this movie, and he talks. Sylvester Stallone does his voice. A giant shark. So, the starfish looked pretty cool. The fight sequences were how they needed to be. I thought Harley Quinn had a good hand-to-hand combat moment, and a couple of them actually. Very, very nicely shot too. You know what? I want to shout out the fucking cinematographer on this. Who was the cinematographer? Jesus, the cast is long. Whew. Cinematographer Henry Brom. Henry Brom. Just amazing cinematography. Because if I had, besides, I will. So I think that most DC movies look kind of shitty, but I really liked Man of Steel. I didn't mind. I mean, like I said, you broke my heart in Batman vs Superman. You broke my heart. But it happens. It happens. But in this particular case, works on every level. You got to cheat some things sometimes when you go, if we did it full scale, it fucking look dumb. Yes, it would. And I think that comes from that horror background, as I said earlier. I think that's why a lot of these gimmicks, as you may call it, work. I even like the goddamn music in this. John Murphy. Yeah. I would hope that you would go out and see this in the theater. You always have to see. In fact, I'll probably just fucking go see it in the theater again. I had that much fun, and I need to see it with even louder explosions. I got a pretty nice setup, but not. You know what? My setup's fucking garbage, mate. It's built for bachelorness. Like, I have a 5.1, but it does surround me and me alone. It's not like it doesn't surround the room. Now, when guests come over, I push the shit back. But when y'all motherfuckers ain't here, you remember the old, this is going to date me like a motherfucker, but you can Google it. You remember the old Sony headphones guy sitting in the chair? I believe, like, I don't remember what the premise of the, commercial was, but I think he could hear the music even though he was behind a fucking jet that was taking off. A jet turbine was in his face, somehow not setting him aflame, but he could still hear the music. Is that maybe I'm misremembering the commercial, but that's kind of what it feels like when I got my setup. And I don't, I turn the lights off, no phones and shit. That ain't true. Sometimes the phone comes out because that motherfucker just keeps on blinking. Put it in the other room. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I'm doing the whole put it down a half hour before you go to bed. Like, I'm doing that whole thing. Like, the phone is not the last thing that I look at before I go to bed. Trying that whole thing out. I don't know if it works. I think I'm such a fucking psychopath that I may be too far gone. I mean, the thoughts are just gonna be kicking, no matter what. I was thinking about some shit with my ex. Haven't spoken in years, and that shit comes up, and you're like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck were you thinking? What the fuck were you? You should text her. No, you shouldn't. You should call her. Even worse. Yeah, but so anyway, I'm trying to put the phone down. I don't know if it works or not. I don't know. Maybe I'm not the demo for it. Because I'm gonna admit something awful to you. So I'll put the phone down, right? I won't look at it, but I have the TV on. Maybe switch a channel or two, but I'll also have a podcast of some sort playing on my phone, which is right next to me. So I'm watching something, but that's on mute, and I'm listening to a podcast. So it's probably way worse. It's probably way worse than what I'm probably not doing it right. I don't do anything right. Fuck. Nor did the Suicide Squad, but they get the job done. I don't know if I'm like that. I don't know if I get the job done. This podcast is awful. But we got to bury the last episode because goddamn was that audio horrible. And two, I'm so happy for James. I am. I'm so happy for James Gunn. If you're just a fan of fun, you'll like this movie. You can have no context. I had a couple people ask me, like, oh, do I need to see Suicide Squad or Birds of Prey? And I'm like, do you know who Harley Quinn is? Well, yeah, I've seen no, you're good. You're good. Everything's fine. Works as a reboot and a sequel, kinda, sorta. You be the judge. You tell me. DM me and be like, you're an idiot. You ruined the entire movie for me. I hate that flower scene. I hate you, and I hate that flower scene. All right. We got to stop the hate. Got to stop the hate. Seen a lot of good sportsmanship in the Olympics, a lot of happiness there. Maybe help me out instead of hate me. Tell me why the flower scene is stupid. Because I think so. That don't work for me. That don't work. It goes back to what I was saying about utilizing the limitations James had with whoever was doing his visual effects. Instead of, all right, well, we're gonna have tons of fun. And I for one hate. Like, emphasize, I hate this more than Viola Davis's character in this movie. This is how much I hate it, and I hated Viola's character quite a bit. I hate CGI blood gunshot wounds. Hate it. Like we call them squibs in the biz. Squibs are like when they really explode, like when it's practical effects when they really explode. Now, I would love to pick James's brain and be like, well, is it one, you just like, hey, we've seen that, Or two, did you do a couple and you were like, oh, this fucking looks like shit, which it does. There's no way to sell a good CG blood. Look at 3 from Hell or whatever. I think 3 from Hell made me mad just because Rob Zombie's like the king. Well, I don't know, a very respected person in the horror community, and what happened? Money. Okay, well then, write something else. Write it a different way. If you can't have tons of practical effects and bodies exploding and shit in a final gunfight, then don't have the gunfight. Do something else with, on a smaller scale, or fucking pop the money. And besides, you're Rob Zombie. You're always touring. You're always writing movies. And aren't you doing the Munsters now? I think the Munsters is happening. My one friend, Justin, who did the music, not for today's show, but the one that I typically use, he loves the Munsters, and he is terrified of what Rob may or may not do to it. I have no fucking horse in the race. I could give a shit. It makes no difference to me. I very rarely do I get, I don't know, up in arms about it. Very rarely anymore. I used to, but that's ridiculous energy spent. I can't believe that they casted him as, stop it. Certainly you could be talking about something better. You can talk about it after the fact, but I don't even do that anymore. I just kind of like, well, there's no going back. Like, it is what it is. This is the product that they gave us. I don't think that he worked here, or I don't think she worked here, or whatever, in this particular role. But not near as much. Not near as much. But you're not going to get that here. Perfect casting across the board in the Suicide Squad. Cannot emphasize that enough. Even a fucking giant talking shark somehow fit in. I wish we would have saw a little bit more Weasel, but yeah, what a fucking, maybe the funnest movie I've seen this year. I'm trying to think. When did I have more fun? Not the best movie. Calm down. Not the best. Maybe the funnest movie I've seen this year. And in terms of LPMs, laughs per minute, and body count, and creativity of death and gore, and utilization of characters in a fun sense, in a bit of fun sense, I don't foresee anything being able to top it. Well, Spider-Man's going to come out. Yeah, but Spider-Man's one man. Spider-Man is one man. I had a whole Suicide Squad in this one, all making me laugh. A whole cast working off of each other. So I want to mention Ratcatcher too, because she was fucking great too. Hold on a second. Go on now. Should have researched it beforehand. Go on now. Nope, not the traditional Ratcatcher, which was played by Ty. Oh, nope, don't want to ruin it for people. Ty, I'll say that. I'll say it's that. Ty. Oh, ruined it. Oh, where is she? There we go. How about if I butcher her name for you? Daniela Melchior. Terrible. She was great as Ratcatcher too. If I did have one caveat, I certainly wouldn't tell you. She was fine. It's just something that happened in the story. It's fine. The whole movie was so great. I don't know what's going to make me have more fun. Or even more laughs now that I think about it. A lot of laughs. That's how we laugh. Hella cinema. Certainly you could be listening to something far better than this goddamn show. Certainly you could. Far more informative shit than this goddamn podcast. Shirts went out this week. I am not a merch guy. I will never be a merch guy ever again. Dumbest shit ever. I'm glad you guys like the shirts, but holy fuck. Dealing with the fucking company that made the shirts, Jesus Christ. I just need a guy to do that. Need a guy to fix the production value on my show, and I need a guy to do my... I hate having merch. Gross. I truly do. Like, the idea that people are wearing a shirt with my name on it, fucking gross.